Welcome to Your City Connections, where you get to meet entertaining and informative guests. Guests such as an artist with a brush or with a camera, and guests with a violin. City Connections, providing insightful interviews with favorite son Lieutenant Governor Todd Lamb. To city commissioners, the mayor. Interviews with a rodeo queen, to beauty queen, and even a NBA player. Now, join Steve Keim as he discusses another engaging topic on City Connections.
Hello again and welcome to City Connections. I'm Steve Keim, and you know, we've had a kind of a connection to the rodeo circuit for some reason. We were introduced to Miss Rodeo a few years ago, and lo and behold, there's another very special guest, and she happens to be Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, and she came all the way from Collinsville, Oklahoma, just north and a little bit east of Tulsa, to be with us here at the Enid Television Network. Please join me and welcome Sydney Spencer. Sydney, Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, welcome to Enid.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Red's my favorite color, so I guess you knew that. You look sharp. You got your sash. Is that what they call it?
Yes, my sash.
Sash, and we'll talk a little bit about the bling that she has with her today. So, well, right off the bat, Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016. So, Sydney, was this a lifelong goal? I mean, you got to be barely 20-something, okay, if I can give your age away. But was this one of those lifelong goals for you?
It definitely didn't start as a lifelong goal. Okay. In 2010, I was fortunate enough to hold the title of Miss Rodeo Oklahoma Teen, which is a different age division. And I was in high school whenever I was that in 2010. And so after becoming that and traveling along the rodeo trail here in Oklahoma and getting to represent my state as the teen doing that, I decided, I think that I want to grow up a little bit, go to college, and then eventually I want to become Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. And so this year, last year in 2015 in July is when we had our pageant, and I ran and I was crowned, and then January 1st is when I officially took over.
And we want to talk a little bit about your full year that's ahead of you from January to December. But you talked about it wasn't a lifelong dream, but it was a particular goal. Let me ask you specifically for a young lady who's watching the show saying, I'm kind of interested in this Miss Rodeo Oklahoma stuff. What steps do you have to take in preparation to be even in the running for this? I mean, are there education requirements? You've got to be from Oklahoma. What are the steps that you have to take?
Well, that is a great question. You definitely have to be from Oklahoma to represent Oklahoma.
Okay.
And it just depends on your age group. The Miss Rodeo Oklahoma organization starts out, you can be a Miss Rodeo Oklahoma Sweetheart, and that starts at 3. And then you can go on to become a princess, and then a teen, and then a miss. And so eventually you want to be Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, and you start out at the Sweetheart level and you just work your way up in our organization. But to get to the Miss Rodeo Oklahoma pageant, you bring a title from a local title, so the Enid Roundup Club, or if you were a part of the Newkirk Range Riders Rodeo, or maybe the Claremore Will Rogers Rodeo, and you take that title that you won and you bring it to the Oklahoma pageant, or you represent a sponsor or a ranch that you're from.
Okay. Speaking of titles, I believe you're also would be known as an ambassador for the state of Oklahoma, because you're going to events. You shared with me you're on your way to Houston for an event. You've been here, you've been there, you're going there. You are representing the state of Oklahoma. So when somebody sees you, they go, wow, that's what's from Oklahoma. So that's impressive. So how does it feel to be that ambassador?
I definitely think that it is more of nostalgic to me to be able to carry on this legacy that everyone in Oklahoma looks up to, and of course all the little girls and boys that want to see a role model. And so it's very incredible to me to be able to have that on my shoulders, as to say. I enjoy it very much.
Our special guest on City Connections today is Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, Sydney Spencer. And Sydney, I was looking at the website, and I want to read this to make sure that we get it right. It says the mission of the Oklahoma Rodeo Pageant Council is to provide opportunities for young women of Oklahoma to maximize their educational potential while promoting the state of Oklahoma through the sport of rodeo. And I think that's the ambassador role. So is there a part of the role of being Miss Rodeo Oklahoma that we haven't discussed? Is there something that you had no idea that was going to be your role in Miss Rodeo that was a surprise to you?
There definitely have not been any surprises.
Okay.
You know whenever you're going to try out and attempt to become Miss Rodeo Oklahoma in our pageants, what the job entails, because this is a job, being an ambassador, for everyone to look up to you or for you to do the things that you do. It is a job. And first and foremost, I am Miss Rodeo, and so I'm there representing the rodeo and representing the sport of rodeo in Oklahoma and the surrounding states. And then I'm Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, so then I'm representing Oklahoma. And that, like I said, it is a job, but there were no surprises. I knew what the job entailed, and that's why I applied for it.
So, how has your life changed since becoming Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016? In 20 words or less. No, 30 words or less. Just tell us, what has really changed since that time?
I definitely think something that has been incredible to me is the amount of social media followers that I've gotten. And I have learned to not be such a private person and to share with others what I'm doing, because they want to see what Miss Rodeo Oklahoma is out and about doing. And sponsors, that's a great way that we talk about our sponsors and everything they do for us, is throwing it out there on social media.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your wardrobe. It's quite obvious that you have this bright and shiny belt buckle and, of course, the sash. But what's impressive is this item that you have. I would call it luggage, not a purse. But if you want to grab that and just kind of hold it up so we could take a look at that. This is real, but what I was really impressed with, Sydney, is it's not embroidered, but it's carved in there, and this is all leather. Tell us about this purse, or this luggage piece.
This is a purse that was designed for me by a sponsor. Her name is Sherry Smith, and she's from Arkansas, and she is one of our pageant photographer, or she is our pageant photographer, and a great friend. And so she made this for me, and I'm so lucky enough to have it from her and to carry it around as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, and it fits all of my items inside of it, my autograph sheets and everything, and it is nice to have because we are around arena dirt, and so to have something that you can just throw down in the dirt so that you can sign an autograph for a little kid is very convenient. So we're very appreciative of our sponsors.
Well, that's like I said, nice piece of luggage there.
Yeah, it's great.
Carry about 2 weeks worth of clothing in that or something, right? Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your hat. I guess that's the crown, and it almost looks like rubies or whatever. But just tell us a little bit about it's got the state of Oklahoma, and tell us a little bit about the crown.
So the legacy of our Miss Rodeo Oklahoma crown, this crown was built in 2001, and it has, of course, the state of Oklahoma and our shield, and then Indian feathers, because of course we're an Indian nation here in Oklahoma. And so this was made from Bob Burke Designs, and it's something that is passed down to each girl every year. So it's traveling, and it's not mine to keep. It's beautiful, and to be able to continue the legacy of having it on my hat is incredible.
So besides all the memories that you have of being Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, what do you get to keep? You got to put the crown goes back, but what do you get to keep?
I of course get to keep my memories. Yeah. Hopefully, I did receive a belt buckle that says Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016 with my name. I got a saddle and lots of other prizes. Of course, whenever you have sponsors like Sherry that made my purse, and then we have another big sponsor that's called Arrowhead Now, and they made me a beautiful luggage as well, like you called it. Really, it's just a briefcase. It's okay, Steve. And other big sponsors too that make me things. You know, I have a couple shirt sponsors that made me shirts that say Miss Rodeo Oklahoma on them, and I'll be able to keep those forever.
And to make that connection, you're in presentation mode all the time.
Of course.
You're dressing the part, you look the part, everything you have is very visible, and so you need that sponsorship or you need that wardrobe because you're either going to this arena event here or this rodeo there, so it's all about presentation. So
it is, of course, and definitely like this weekend I will be in Guthrie at the Lazy E Arena for the Cinch Timed Event Championships, and you know, we are there in arena gear one day and then in a jacket and dress pants the next 30 minutes after that, and so you're definitely having to look the part and be the part at all times.
Thank you for joining us on City Connections today. Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, Sydney Spencer is our guest today, and we'll talk a little bit more about role models. We'll talk a little bit about her education background, and maybe some of her hopes and dreams will come up right after this. Stay with us. Thank you. Thank you again for staying with us today on City Connections. My special guest, Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, Sydney Spencer. Sydney from Collinsville, Oklahoma. What city or event during your reign so far, I know you got a ways to go, but has there been a favorite, besides Enid, Oklahoma, has you had a favorite city or a favorite event that's just been a wow experience for you?
I definitely don't think that there can be one favorite, but I have had an incredible experience so far.
Sure.
Since it's only been a few months since I was crowned. In January, I, of course, was in Denver for the National Western Stock Show, and I was able to be in the opening there, and that was very nostalgic to me just because it was a rodeo that I never got to travel to as a child. And then there I was being in the center for the opening, carrying the National Western Stock Show flag on horseback. And that was great. And then, of course, in February, I traveled to Kissimmee, Florida for the Silver Spurs Rodeo, which is the oldest rodeo in Florida. And it was incredible to be there for the week with 23 other state girls and going to the school visits and going to Gatorland. And we went airboating.
Wrestling gators, is that part of the...
I wrestled gators.
That's part of the criteria. Very good.
And then I got to go to Disney World for the first time in my life. So that was incredible, but I definitely don't have a favorite just because they're all incredible experiences that I get to go.
Well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I knew that you had some great experiences. You mentioned interacting with the other Miss Rodeo, Texas or Florida, the other cities or other states, excuse me. What type of experience is that, knowing that you're Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, but maybe you've developed a special friendship with Miss Rodeo Montana or something?
I definitely have gained special friendships so far this year with the other state queens, and we're all a close-knit group, much like being in the sorority that I was in the past. We're all kind of close, and we're all competing against each other, but we're all going towards the same goal, and that is to be ambassadors for the sport of rodeo. And so being able to have that common connection really does help out our friendship, because not everyone understands what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish, and they definitely are a group of women that understand completely what each individual is going through. And so to have someone that you can talk to and share your experiences with is absolutely fantastic.
Your comment is a perfect segue to my next question. What are you trying to accomplish? Tell us a little bit about the Miss Rodeo Oklahoma pageant. What's involved? You know, people have heard of it, and they know that there's a Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, but they may not know anything about the pageant and the steps you go through and just really all the criteria to be involved.
Yeah, so at the beginning of our segment, we talked about the age groups that girls can be to be in our pageant, but our pageant is held in July, and... But
you don't have to be in the princess or those younger categories to work your way to...
No, you can just all of a sudden decide that you would like to be an ambassador for rodeo, and if you can ride a horse and be able to...
And stay on the horse.
And stay on the horse. And enjoy public speaking and being an ambassador, then come join us. We'd love to have you. So at the Miss Rodeo Oklahoma pageant, you compete in events, horsemanship, modeling, public speaking, photogenics, speeches, and there are a few others, personality and appearance, and of course it's a normal pageant. So
there's a real competition.
There's of course incredible competition that you're competing against.
Well, speaking of your competitors, off camera we were talking about different people that we knew that were former Miss Rodeo Oklahomas. Is there any one person that's been kind of a role model or someone that's really kind of helped you out to say, Sydney, this is the way you should go, or this is how to do it? Has there been that role model?
There definitely have been many, not just one specific person.
Good for you.
Because I think that everyone has a great opinion and great advice. And if you can take advice from multiple people and then mold it into your own, I think that that's what gets you farther in life, is being able to make something your own and go with what you want to accomplish to get where you want to go. And so I definitely don't just have one. I have had many incredible women that have been Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, Miss Rodeo USA, Miss Rodeo America, to get me to where I am today and hopefully further in the future.
One thing I'd like to point out during our visit with Sydney today is that with all the glamour and all the fun things she gets to do and represent Oklahoma as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, she also had to put some things on hold in her life. And one of those things that she had to basically put on hold was her education. Now, I know you were working towards, in regards to education, surgical technologist. I think that's close to the term. But you were unable to really, you got going, but then you had to stop and so forth. So you've had to make some sacrifices.
I definitely have, but it's not something that I would do it over again in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Being Miss Rodeo Oklahoma has been an incredible thing to accomplish so far, and I was able to do that on my own. And so it's an experience that you can only live once to be able to be Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. You can't be Miss Rodeo Oklahoma more than one time. And so to be able to do this, it was something that I didn't want to pass up.
Tell us about where within you have this heart for medical or taking care of people.
And I've always been a giver and always have been wanting to be helpful to others. And in high school, I was an athletic trainer for our sports teams my freshman and sophomore year, and it just drove me to be more involved in the medical field. And I was a CNA, and I worked in hospitals and nursing homes and even home health care. And that is what made me decide that I want to further involve myself in the medical career in medical facilities. And so being up close and personal and making sure to keep you safe in the operating room and keep everything sterile is what really made me want to be a surgical tech. And so I will, as soon as I am finished with that, then I would love to work in an outpatient surgery center or even in the emergency room for emergency surgeries, or be a traveling CST as well, to keep traveling.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about giving back in your role. I know personally I've been involved in Special Olympics for many, many years, and I know that you have a heart for Special Olympics as well. There's other things that I read on your bio, Sydney, is about your involvement with Feed America, and also the campaign called Spread the Word to End the Word. Tell us about, and you can just pick one or all of these, but tell us about really your giving back, your involvement in these nonprofit groups.
So Feed America is basically raising canned food items for your local food pantry and being able to help out your local community and being able to help provide necessary items for people to be able to feed their families. And the biggest passion that I have is, of course, being able to help others. And the Special Olympics, like I said earlier, I was Miss Rodeo Oklahoma Teen in 2010, and I was invited to be a special guest at the State Special Olympics that year. And I was able to have my name called across Gallagher,
Summer
Iowa.
Games is a great experience.
So incredible. Of course, Eskimo Joe's there and all dressed up, and of course, all the other mascots. And to be able to walk in the Parade of Champions with my group, the Green Country group, because I'm from the Tulsa area, was absolutely.
And all the law enforcement people that are there.
Of course. It
you
was
haven't been to the Summer Games opening ceremonies, what Sydney's referring to. It's a great experience to watch, but in her case, to be in that parade of athletes.
Of course. And so then I became a student mentor in high school, and my partner and I actually qualified to the State Special Olympics Summer Games in 2011. And unfortunately, we weren't able to compete because a thunderstorm rolled in. But we did qualify.
Weather got in the way.
But that was incredible. And I then went on to become an Alpha Sigma Alpha at Northeastern State University, and our biggest philanthropy was the Special Olympics. And so I was able to be a part of that, and we helped with the medal ceremonies and other things that we were needed to do at the regional games in Muskogee, since that is that area. And then my sophomore year of college, I was our philanthropic chair. And so I was actually the one putting on the event there at the regional Special Olympics, the medal ceremonies, and then other events, polar plunge, and other great events in Tahlequah and our campus doing that. So that was incredible. And I have to talk about Spread the Word to End the Word because it is so dear to my heart. Most people don't realize the effect the derogatory term causes on people, and it's just simple to say that's so silly or that's ridiculous instead of using such a derogatory term that may not affect you, but it does affect many others. And so I just think that it would be fabulous if everyone could maybe use a different word and eventually spread the word to end the word and have people try and use a different word. There's a campaign online that you can sign the petition and basically claim that you're going to be using a different word. So,
well, thank you for sharing that side of you of the importance of giving back to the community. I'd like to remind our viewers that if you have a suggestion for a guest on City Connections, you can simply send me an email at asksteve@enid.org. That is ASKSTEVE@enid.org. So if you've got a family member, or if you know of a movie star or a celebrity like Sydney or whatever that's coming to the Enid community or passing through, send us an email and we'll get in touch with you and them, and we'll see how we can get them on City Connections. Sydney, we're about to run out of time for this segment of City Connections, and as I tell many of our guests, this is our first of many visits, okay? So you're welcome to come back if you're passing through Enid. So don't forget, you have that open invitation to come back.
Well, thank you.
Okay, a couple more questions. How do you handle all of this attention that's coming your way?
I definitely take it in strides. It is something that I am...
That's not the answer we're looking for. Take it in stride, okay?
I take it in strides. I don't think of myself as any more important than anyone else. And I definitely am down to earth and very humble. And I am just incredibly blessed to be able to hold this title and to be able to be an ambassador and be able to be a part of everyone's communities here in Oklahoma.
Well, we realize one of my final questions is what's next, and I understand that part of your duty is representing Oklahoma. You'll be going to the Miss Rodeo America pageant,
yes.
And that's coming up, and of course, in 2016, I guess?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that pageant, and what's the expectations of you at that pageant?
So, the Miss Rodeo America pageant is held in conjunction with the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo held in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I will be competing. So far, there are only 33 of us state queens. There will be more. The
less is better for you? Is that what you're saying?
There will be more girls competing. They just haven't been crowned yet. And the title is for Miss Rodeo America 2017. So we're definitely proud here in Oklahoma. Lauren Heaton was Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2014 and held the title of Miss Rodeo America 2015. She was the very first Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, and we are all so incredibly proud of her. And then Sierra did fantastic last year and ended up top 5 and 3rd runner-up, Sierra Pakey. And so it's my goal to be able to make top 5 as well, if not become Miss Rodeo America 2017. So I definitely am excited to be with my group of friends. Like I said, we're more of a sorority and sisterhood, competing for the one goal of who gets to carry on the title of Miss Rodeo America and be the biggest ambassador here in the United States.
Well, we certainly wish you well on the upcoming event, and you call it the Wrangler rodeo event. Is that what it's called?
The National Finals Rodeo.
Okay. for the pageant.
The NFR.
Well-
You can always catch that on the Wrangler Network as well in December.
Very good. Well, Sydney, as our special guest, we appreciate you taking time to come all the way over from Collinsville to Enid today. And we have a commemorative coin that we usually present to our special guests. And on the back side of this coin, it says boundless, vibrant, and original. And those three branding words, if you will, just really represents the Enid community. But more that I've gotten to know you and talk to you today, you seem pretty boundless and vibrant and original yourself. So I think this is very appropriate, and you can see the state of Oklahoma. It kind of matches the one on your luggage that you have there, but the little star denotes Enid, Oklahoma, so I want you to remember that. But I want to give you this coin.
Thank you.
As
I
just
appreciate that.
think of us, put that on your desk or wherever it may be, and when you think of that, you'll remember the time at the Enid Television Network studio and the time that we got to learn more about Sydney Spencer.
Awesome. I'll definitely have this in my Miss Rodeo America scrapbook. So
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sydney, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2016, Sydney Spencer, Collinsville, Oklahoma. Thank you again. And thank you for joining us on City Connections, and I look forward next time we'll have another special guest. And until the next time, make it a great day.